Welcome. Thank you. I'm Shoto. I'm the Sukansu and the Shisui here at SokukoJi Buddhist Monastery, which means I help keep things going, trying to help with the programming and the property upkeep here. I just want to invite anyone who finds value in these teachings to please participate either by joining us for the Dharma talks from either Sokuzan or his monks, his students. Join us for any of the book studies throughout the week, even just one time throughout the week would be great to see you in our Zendo or to join us online. We could really use your help with your practice, joining us, and also financially to help us keep the programming going here. So thank you very much.
Good morning, and thank you for coming to this thing we're doing. This morning's Dharma talk is titled, There is no next. Something we use all the time. Next. Well, next I'm going to do this or that. Or, well, there isn't any such thing as a next. I'm not saying there isn't an incredibly powerful illusion of a next moment, just like there's a past moment, that's an illusion. Even the present moment is an illusion, it's not true. We believe it, and we run our lives by it. The whole world, billions of people are running their life by believing that there's a something else. You don't have to do that. If you stop doing that, nothing much will happen. It'd be kind of nice for nothing to happen for a while. Doesn't it get kind of tiring that then there's this and that and then this? What about that? What if that happens? And I'm not going to put up with that. If that happens, I'm going to fight against that, or go against this, and go for. What you are ignoring there is the dependent origination, a very, very famous traditional teaching of the Buddha's Dharma, the awakened truth, Buddha's Dharma, awakened truth. Pratitya Samutpada is a fancy Sanskrit word for it if you need those. You may or you may not. If you do, use them. If you don't, it just means nothing happens. But the illusion that something is happening, that this moving through space, a thing, comes through space, not a thing, and runs into something else, and makes a third thing, a sound, or a visual event, or this causes various kinds of conceptual activity in your mind stream, like, what the hell's that stick about? It could be that, it could be you already know what this is, you know, because you might be the person that actually made this stick. So your background from that is extremely complicated and different from everybody else's, even though we're all in the same room, somewhat. The causes and conditions that arise as any given event looks like a before and after. It is not true. And you will torture yourself and torture others and blame yourself, shame, or blame others, pride. Someone else did this. I didn't do it. I've had no part in that. All this crap that's happening, even though part of it is in my own mind, it's not my responsibility. Yes, it is. Even though there's no self, no solid separate being anywhere, there is a consciousness that that receives through the eyes, receives through the ears, receives through the fingertips, receives through the mind, receives through the memory, receives. If you are not receiving, then you're adding to the confusion in the world. Stop it. And how do you do that? You can't just stop it. You probably noticed that. You have no say-so about what you do. That's another thing that does not exist. Control. You have no control. If you think you do, you'll continue to spin around either in your orbit or the person really close to you you have some kind of karma with, you have a similar chemistry, and they have some kind of say-so about how you live. They tell you what to do, or they tell you what not to do, or if you do something they don't like, and then you go, oh, I'm sorry, I'll stop doing that. Well, you better. That looks like separation. It looks like a relationship. No, that is not relationship. That is not a relationship. That is a delusion. A relationship is nothing happens. If you don't understand what relationship is, then you'll continue to invent things about it so you can do what? Control things. Control yourself, control others, get what you want. Greed. It's painful, isn't it? It's difficult. You can't fix it. There is no next. If there were a next, then we wouldn't even be here. We would be next door or something. What is occurring is dependently arisen. There's no personhood behind this. The whole world is running by this. It's getting worse and worse. And what will it do after it gets worse and worse? What will happen next? It'll get better and better. And it'll clear up after billions of people are killed. After millions of indigenous people are murdered. After millions of Russian countrymen are starved to death by Stalin in the 1930s because of one person's incredible agenda about control and other people's fear of objecting to that. Very difficult when the whole situation of one damn crime after another happening in your mind stream and happening in the world, the apparent otherness, the world out there. It's not about correcting that. It's not about punishment. It's not about crime and punishment. It's just not. And if you think it is, then maybe you'll have to go that direction. Maybe you'll have to spend the rest of your life fighting against the bad stuff and agreeing with the good stuff. It's not that that is wrong. It's just that that is based on a structure that is completely filled with activities or motions or movements that are fundamentally untrue. They look true, they're very convincing. And because the people in the past have looked at this confusion and probably thought something like, gotta somehow get a control of this, it's just gonna get worse and worse. We're gonna have kings all over the place. So we'll have a constitution. I'm not going into politics here. I'm just saying, people in the past have seen this craziness and said, well, we need some kind of a structure. We need some laws. We need stoplights. At least we do now. We need to all agree that we're going to do this and all agree that we're going to do that. So a little bit of communication, cooperation, collaboration isn't such a bad thing when we're all tied to living in and functioning as in a relative world as a so-called separate being. And we're functioning as so-called separation in the really major part of the illusion, which is time, and which we get tied into next. What's going to happen next? Well, there isn't one. Don't believe me. Don't believe anything I say. The three things I would say it this way: don't believe me, don't disbelieve me, and don't ignore what I'm saying. In other words, consider it, think about it, reflect on it. And I'm very biased in this area. The very best thing you can do with your life is nothing. And how do you do that? Sit down, hold still, and just use the very sense fields that you were given when you were born. You're able to receive with the eyes don't create sights. Receive with the ears don't create sounds, they don't create them. The tongue doesn't create tastes. And on and on. And I will even take it further in an area that might be difficult for you to receive. I'm not asking you to believe me. I'm saying just receive it. The mind does not create thoughts. You have to see it. I didn't know this even 20 years ago, and I've been practicing this for over half a century. Even 20 years ago, I still thought what was happening was real. And then it just somehow changed. I don't remember the event. There was no event where, now I see what's really true. There was no event. The very event quality of things comes apart. So you don't get to get any credentials from anything. You don't get to suddenly feel like you're an enlightened being. You don't get to suddenly feel like you see things that no one else sees. No, you are not separate from anyone. You're not the same as everyone, but you're not separate. What you're looking at is what everyone else is looking at. It's just that you're not adding to it. And most people are. They see something and think about it. But you, if you see what this is, you just see what it is. You don't conclude anything. You don't even conclude there's no such thing as next. I have to deliberately do that in order to be able to even talk. Otherwise, I just stay home. Not everybody wants this. Apparently we have a couple of dozen people here, maybe more. I don't know who's on YouTube. Most people don't want this. They'd rather have another kind of teaching, an easier teaching, or a more reasonable. I'm not reasonable at all. You need somebody reasonable, look elsewhere. But if you want the truth, not my truth, it's just what I'm looking at it, as both of my teachers were. All of my teachers were. Looking at it and functioning out of that in such a way that there might be a possibility somebody could see what this is. And so that when you die, when the body-mind collapses and goes away, nothing actually happens. It's just more illusion. This is an illusion, and when it dies, that's an illusion. What happens to you is not an event. There will be no more events. You can start not having any events right now. That doesn't mean that things won't happen. It just means that more like watching a movie. Ever watch Stephen King? Try to watch Stephen King without believing what's happening. Pretty hard to watch The Shining without getting just slightly terrified. Powerful movie, made over 40 years ago, I think. But powerful, very convincing. It's like, where's the popcorn at? I have to have something to distract myself from the incredible believability of those two little girls standing down the end of the hallway. Powerful creativity to take what is an illusion and make the illusion so intense that we actually believe something that is, what do we say, supernatural? Well, everything is supernatural if you see it. Everything that looks ordinary is supernatural. If you see that, then there isn't anything at all that isn't ordinary. The Tibetans have a word for this, those who have realized. Tamogishepa, it means ordinary mind. It's just ordinary. Nothing special happens, but people who think there's a should and a shouldn't, a right and a wrong, will make chaos. They'll actually feel like they're just doing the right thing, even though they're creating chaos in your life or chaos in someone else's life. I would say, mind your own business. Mind your own business. The second you pull your finger out of its holster and start blaming anybody for anything, you're participating in the illusion. I don't care if you're the sweetest, kindest, most lovable, wonderful person who mows a neighbor's lawn. If you accuse anybody of anything, even if you're relatively correct, they do something to you and you blame them, what are you doing? The same time you blame, you are ignoring the complete totality of consciousness only. You cannot see the first cause for anything. That's why we have hundreds, thousands, millions of people probably in prisons because we think they've done something wrong. Instead of helping them with their chaos, with their confusion, we put them in a box. What a horrible thing to do to another living being. Put them in a box, lock it. Don't feed them or torture them and think we're so correct. Very difficult. If you go into a prison, which I've done, and several people here have been into prisons, Yudao, who's on the screen here, still goes into prisons regularly and teaches people to meditate. It's very painful to go in and meet people, other human beings who are in a prison, and how did they get, how could they take this kind, intelligent, reasonable person, and because of something that happened to them, it put them in a box, lock them up. It's because of the complete totality of the consciousness that sucks down into a division or a separation or a shrinkage that is called a cult. Not the cult that you think of. Oh, that's a cult over there. We've been called a cult. We're not a cult. There's no bars here. There's no rules, there's no laws. You can do whatever you want. Come and go, leave, never come back. Come here as much as you want. Nothing is required that I can think of. But the big cult is, the big cults are are happening all over the place, have to do with social norms, ethics and all that, where people are trying to control people instead of seeing the complete totality of consciousness, that you cannot find right and wrong there. If you continue to try to find right and wrong, you're going to lock some people up, hang other people, torture people who don't look like you do, because if anything's wrong with them, anything that doesn't align with what you think is right, including your skin color, that brings up, that triggers deeply buried aspects of consciousness called karma, cause and effect. If you don't see it, if you just think about it, you can write a book about it, but you won't understand it unless you realize what this is. When I'm pointing this way, I'm pointing at the center of you. Until you realize who you are, you're no longer unsure about your identity. If there's any doubt about your identity, then you will continue to accuse others for how you feel. Blame it. You have a negative feeling. It must be them. It must be this. It must be that. There is no next. That's one of the ways we perpetuate the illusion of separation and perpetuate the illusion of correct and incorrect, because we think something is going to happen next. Even to go the other extreme of the two thens, then in the future and then back then, or then when we get to that, those are also misunderstandings about the nature of what this is, consciousness. To see what it is, you couldn't even go to the concept of now, like the guy in the 1970s wrote the book, what was this, I can't remember his name, Be Here Now or something like that. I read it, I know I probably was stoned when I read it, more than likely. I'm stoned right now, but not stoned on drugs. I'm stoned on stones. If you think about stones, you're stoned. Is that funny? There isn't anything but this, and even this is extra, because if you see what this is, you'll be tongue-tied. You won't be able to say what it is. It's heartbreaking to see the intense suffering in the world. But as soon as you realize you are the intense suffering in the world, you stop crying, you stop doing anything in any direction, because you are just consciousness only, which has no boundaries. But as soon as you shrink up into a boundary of a separate being, you start to sob, because it's so hard. People want to torture each other, beat up on each other, accuse each other, and get some kind of justice out of something, instead of seeing that, what's the conventional thing we often hear, I've been hearing all my life, well, we're all in this together. Heard that in my family. And we are. There are no separate beings. If you think there are, you'll have some friends, and you'll have some enemies, and you'll have some that are neutral. And you can actually live your whole life. I wouldn't say you're wasting your life, but you can live your whole life believing a bunch of things that are not true, because it feels safe. What is real, this has been said way before I got here, any of us got here, what is real is not threatened. Find out what that is, and so you'll be completely fearless. You won't show up as a fearless kind of person waving a sword around. I don't mean that kind of fearlessness. I mean fearlessness is completely still, completely silent, completely fearless. You cannot threaten that, because it has no singularity called a self or a being or a position in place or in time. I didn't plan that. I don't sit down and write speeches before I get in here. This comes right out of what I'm looking at. You have the benefit, lucky you, of sitting and listening to someone who doesn't have any idea what they're talking about. I don't need to know what I'm talking about. I don't need to be right. I don't need to show up as a nice, kind, loving monk. I don't care what you think about me. What do I care about? There isn't anything I don't care about. I'll take questions if you have them.
Hondo bowing. What is the cost or for believing in the next, like living? Like today, I'm sitting there. I want to do this, this, and this. What is the price that I'm paying for not being present, but actually planning what is next? Bowing.
If you use the word price, it just means that it's like you're standing and you're completely still, and you're standing in the middle of a carnival called this. And instead of just watching the carnival, watching the tilt-up whirl, watching the merry-go-round goes this way, watching this Ferris wheel, watching people come and go, you're actually grabbing onto something. You're buying a ticket, you're jumping on the merry-go-round. You're actually joining in with that. Or you're shutting away from it, you're closing off, you're pretending it doesn't. So when you ask, what are you missing? Is that what you're asking? So you're not missing anything, but you're adding to that situation by making a part of it more important than another part of it. More if you have it, that's a good area to ask questions in.
So if I'm aware of what is showing up for me, which is planning.
Yes.
Or creating a to-do list.
Yes. Planning, creating a to-do list, go ahead.
It seems like that requires a focusing on one thing that is showing up.
How does it require that?
How does that require that?
It doesn't. You add on the requirement. You add on that I need to do that. You add, instead of allowing, and this is a kind of a fancy word, that instead of just observing, which is like allowing, a bird flies by the window, you don't need to allow the bird to fly by the window. Bird's going to do whatever it damn well pleases. Depends on what kind of bird, of course. More?
Well, divine, it almost seems like an addiction to being on top of things.
Everything is an addiction. This book right here, this is just Addiction Aware. This just came out and it still has a not for resale band on the front with a snake on it. This will be available on Amazon. I think it's available now, isn't it? Both in book form and in what's that other one?
Ebook.
Kindle or ebook?
It's an ebook.
Ebook, okay. So this is based on working in rehab places, not teaching Buddhism, but teaching awareness practice to people who are addicted to basically the conventional idea, conventional things that you get addicted to. But you can be addicted to everything. I just gave a talk recently on being addicted to paybacks. Somebody does something, just take them back. They can't get away from that. Get away with that. There's a fellow who wrote a book. His name isn't coming back. You remember the name? The name of that book has a whole book on
Revenge?
The addiction to revenge, being addicted to revenge. And we, of course, we have that all over our politics these days. So more about that if you have it.
Divine. So then what is showing up is the compulsion to plan.
Yes. Compulsion to do anything is the very nature of a confusion or ignorance, passion, aggression, ignorance, trying to get something. And it's in order to protect the illusion of a separate self that is identified with this body. If you think you're a body, then this will persist. Most people actually believe they are somebody going somewhere, or somebody having been somebody there, or somebody who is next is going to go in the other room. And we just believe that. And it's not that you have to disbelieve that in such a way that you float around in a cloud of not knowing anything, but you aren't fascinated by what's going to happen. My way of saying it, and you heard me say it before if you've been listening to me very, very long, I don't care what happens next. It's not that I'm going to stop taking my insulin or something. I'm not crazy, but I can't be too concerned with outcomes, because the outcome part of it is an illusion, just like the income part of it, or the input, the past, the present, and the future. Those are illusory. And so if you are in this realm, the human realm, which is the illusion of being a separate individual being, then there's going to be some attachment to that. There has to be. You will protect yourself from a tree falling. You'll run away. So it isn't like you're you're totally disidentified with the body, but you're not so identified with it that you think it's actually real. Very powerful. I don't know if you can approach that understanding without a lot of mind training. In other words, sit down, hold still, sit symmetrical, sit in a posture that's very, very symmetrical, sit very still without being rigid for long periods of time, and watch the confusion and the illusion come and go. Watch the negative, positive, neutral feelings come. Don't do anything with them. Watch them go. Don't chase them. Watch them shut down so nothing's happening. Don't fill it up with anything. Passion, aggression, ignorance. Those are the three poisons that have been taught traditionally in Buddhism for 2,500 years. I'm not the first one to talk about this, nor will I be the last, more than likely. Probably there'll be somebody saying this next. Everyone's planted in the middle of the illusion. What are you going to do with it? Don't do anything with it. Find out what it is. Don't function out of what you think things are. Function out of what you know things are. You need to know this. If there's any doubts there, train your mind. How do you train your mind? I don't know. Find out. Lots of ways, I suppose. Go ahead.
Well, Divine, so then when that discomfort comes, I'm
Yes.
aware of this need to plan. Can I also look at the identity that needs to that exists at that moment, that needs to plan?
What do you want to know?
I'm looking at both the discomfort of the feeling as well as the ego that is tied up in the planning.
So what do you want to know? What are you asking me?
Can we look at both at the same time?
Perhaps, but you might be going back and forth between those two conceptual aspects of what's happening in consciousness. If you see either one of those, the conceptual part falls away and you won't know what you're looking at, though there may still be an otherness or a polarity or a duality of this looking at that, subjectivity, objectivity. That may go on for a while without knowing what it is you're looking at. It's called the path. It's the path of liberation. Liberate yourself by looking at the chains. If you avoid the chains, cover them up, put judgments on it, ignore it, do anything with it, then you just continue to be locked up in your beliefs, your opinions, your judgments, your prejudice, and actually thinking you're not prejudiced. Who, me? No, I'm not self-centered or prejudiced. I'm totally open to what people are doing. I have no judgments or opinions about anything. Go ahead. Yes.
Shoto bowing. You've talked over the years about planning, about how, it's a plan because it doesn't work.
Yes.
And it looks like we need to do that a little bit, like to announce that we're having a talk or have a schedule. So I guess what's the sane way to work with that illusion of next?
So do it situationally and practically. Be very aware if you're leaving the plan, leaving the intention to have something, to have a meeting every Sunday. We have this, and it's a scheduled thing. We've been doing this for many, many years. And be very aware. You don't have to change it, but be very aware when you're starting to evaluate what comes out of the plan. If you get hooked on the effect or creating a certain kind of situation, then you get locked into the materialism of the world. Well, the materialism of the world is doing this so you can get that, doing this, and this. So not wrong, because our society is set up in such polarity that it's a capitalist situation here where you get ahead somehow. It looks like certain people are better at getting ahead. Actually, they don't really realize the causes and conditions that brought them into this world in the first place are totally out of their control. You have no control about your eye color, your skin color, or your intelligence level. You have no control of that. But as soon as we're born, we start to get told by our society and the so-called cultic formation of culture. It's the very word culture has that word in it. And the mores of society are structured and the way what our parents tell us, they convince us we're somebody who can fail, somebody who can win, somebody who can get ahead, somebody who can be president or something. Not looking so good these days. More?
Shadow bowing. I'm noticing that in myself, that conditioning in our culture to where, like, even if it's not right or wrong, but people need to have some kind of use, like they need to do something, like everyone needs to have a job that they're good at, and if they're not doing that, then they're bad people, or they're not doing their
I
job.
follow you. What's your question?
Is there another way of working with that?
Just don't do anything unless you have to. You're not going to get, you're probably going to get a lot of flack from, if you're young, from your parents or from society in general. But you could sit still for a while. We have a way where you can do that and it looks somewhat respectable. Sit down, well, what are you doing? I'm meditating. And really, you're not. You're just not doing anything. You're just sitting still. It might take you a few years to realize that meditation is not doing anything. If you're doing some kind of a structure that gets you to be more aware, feel better, look better, be more peaceful, be more me. This is all materialism. I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it. If you're listening to me and you think that what I'm saying doesn't make any sense to you, it is incorrect, then please trust yourself. Do it your way. Don't listen to me. I don't have any proof. I'm not going to guarantee you a damn thing. I wouldn't cheapen this whole spiritual path by guaranteeing anything. Guarantee anything. My feeling about it's not a true spiritual path. It's a mundane, maybe a spiritual path, but has a lot of mundane promises on it. And it's all about more what? Control, control, control. I don't need to control anything. More.
Shadow bowing. I too feel like how I understood Ondo, like where I put up plans because I want to get, it really is like an addiction, like a little fix from completing that task. Like I get a little pay for everything I'm doing, and if it doesn't show up how I wanted it to, it hurts. I get angry or start.
I deal with the same thing. I deal with it every day. It's just that nothing has changed here. It's very difficult to use language and tell you that I worked on mind training for over half a century and nothing has changed. I don't know how else to say it other than that. I still I'm old and I have difficulty with my body, my skin pain and everything. It's very difficult to be alive at 84 years old and have all kinds of. So I'm just using that as an example. I still have difficulty getting around. It's irritating to me to not be able to get up and walk across the room like you can. To actually walk across the room, I have to be very careful of my proprioception so I don't fall over, to even reach out maybe to somebody. Lately, I've been trying to get up from this seat by myself, so I have a little bit of purchase on where I'm going and what I'm doing as a living form. But it's getting worse, and this will come apart. I'm not concerned about that. Maybe I'm kind of looking forward to it, you might say. Not that I'm going to end it artificially, but it won't be I don't care what happens, because there is no next. If you think there is, then you're going to be worried about death. This has already died, and it's not physically died, of course, but the understanding of it is, you see that there is no life, nothing happens, nothing is born, nothing can die. Living forms come and go, but consciousness does not appear, therefore it cannot disappear. Find out, you can do this, you're a human being. You don't have to be stuck in the beliefs of the culture and the beliefs of right and wrong, should be and shouldn't be. You don't have to be stuck in that. You can liberate yourself. If you liberate yourself, you'll never talk to me. You might talk to me, but I doubt it. If either one of my teachers came into this room today, I wouldn't have much to say to them at all. They might say, "Heal it up." I doubt it. In Tibetan. More about that if you have. It's a good area. Looking for outcomes. And that's a good area to direct, especially with the title of this talk. There's no next. The illusion of the next is overwhelming. It frightens us. We can get angry if we don't get our way. I have irritation come out because I can't get across the room, because I I'm on this machine, this CPAP machine, and my breathing isn't improving as fast as I was told by the doctor that it would. It's irritating. You ever had a gorilla sit on your face? You have not. Have you?
I have a CPAP machine. I don't use it now.
You have a CPAP machine, you don't, I'm so jealous of you, because I still use mine. So, but I did have a CPAP machine 20 years ago, which I tried on, and it's just, those of you who use one of those, they're just aggravating. And if you get some results out of them, then that compensates a little bit, but to have something sitting in your face like you're trying to sleep, you know, the gorilla doesn't move around much, so that helps, but it's still a gorilla. You don't use yours? You will. Of course, there's no next, so. Anything more?
Show bowing. That plan situation's like I wanted to help get that book done, and we just approved it. And right after we approved it, I found like 12 different typos that we didn't catch. I was like, damn it!
Yeah. Why didn't you catch those?
I thought I did
So you made a mistake?
a lot.
What is a mistake?
Looks like I have an idea of how something will be, and it doesn't live up to
Okay,
that.
what else, more simply put, what is a mistake?
Projection. A projection.
It's a concept. There's no such thing. There's really no such thing as a mistake. Everything is completely perfect. The Dzogchen masters of 1,000 years ago were telling us out of their awareness practice, saying everything's completely perfect as it is. This doesn't mean that you didn't try to do eggs over easy and a couple of them broke, but they're not mistakes. The dependent origination is you do not have a say-so. You have a little bit of say-so, and some people who short order cooks are probably pretty damn good at eliminating what they call mistakes, but you wouldn't want to follow them home because their house is full of mistakes, but they're pretty good at eggs. You follow me a little bit? It's very situational, it's very conditional. Some people are extremely good at some things and horrible at other things. It's dependently arisen, but we tend to get a credential, ego, we tend to get a credential out of something we're good at that someone else can't do, and we use that to fluff up, build up the ego and the self-centeredness, so when the uncontrollable kind of so-called mistakes come along, then we can handle those, we can include those. More?
Shadow bowing. So the talks,
Yes.
there is no next, but is it going too far the other direction to function as if there isn't something that looks like that?
So the idea is that that's meant as a teaching. It's not meant as something you grab onto and start living your life as if nothing's going to happen. It's some kind of just complete looseness. No, you still look at, but you still look at what arises, and you still look at the cause and effect. You realize it is part of the illusion, and the illusion is very convincing. Even the next, it'll still be convincing, but you'll just know that it doesn't carry the weight that it did. It takes a while. It seems to take, and I'm biased here, very biased, it seems to take a lot of sitting still. You don't have to be a Buddhist, you don't have to be a monk, you don't have to be a student of mine, you don't have to do anything, but if you're gonna do anything coming from what I'm saying is hold still and watch what your mind is doing. Get to know yourself. Don't get your identity or your ideas or your conviction or anything you don't get any authority for anything other than right from yourself, from your own consciousness. You find out. You might need the help of someone who is not trying to control you and just trying to encourage you to be genuine, be yourself, be who you are. You might need somebody to say, go do that, sit there. And in this situation, we provide a space for people to come and sit, and people have come here and sat and got frightened and run the other way and blamed the situation for how they felt rather than being responsible for how they're feeling. They come up with all kinds of stories. So people do that. They're not wrong. They're just suffering. They just want to be happy too. We all want to be happy, don't we? Sure we do. Difficult to do that. Whole world is having difficulty, and the best thing you can do for the world is find out who you are. Find out who you are with no doubt, so you know who you are. And then you'll see, because you'll know who you are, you'll know what the world is. And what is the world? Not separate. It's just consciousness. But it's showing up as a large pile of debris, quite in many cases. Yes, Yudao.
You're bowing. It seems like when I don't want anything. It's very unsettling. So I'm wondering if what's next is sort of an addiction to constantly desiring something. Bowie.
Well said. And so all you have to do, though, to follow up on that a little bit, just be aware of it. You do not have to get rid of an addiction. A little bit different approach in this book. I don't teach recovery. That's up 12-step programs and other kinds of ways of, that's fine. I totally approve of that. Not that I need to, but I'm all for that. Do it however you need to do it. Do it however you personally or anybody that happens to hear what I'm saying. But the way I talk about it is be aware of it, and that's what you're a fully ordained monk. Just be aware of it. Just watch it. It's very, very frustrating to watch. To be very aware of your self-centeredness and your grasping. Be very aware of passion, grasping at something without stopping it. Because if you try to stop it, you add to the. It's like you went from the Ferris wheel over to the tilt-a-whirl, or over to the whatever, some other kind of activity in order to stop that one. Just distraction. Don't do it. Just continue to look at that tilt-a-whirl. Just look at it. It can be. The emotion that can come up sometimes would be close to something like nauseating. I mean, nauseating to look at inside, you can't stop that. And that's ego. Ego is the one that's coming apart because you want to stop being that way. But that just creates more ego. The spiritual path is, since you used a fancy word, is transcendence. You actually transcend your attachment to physical form. You transcend your attachment to form altogether because consciousness has no form. You are just consciousness. You may still break eggs when you're fixing breakfast. You still may go to the restroom later, and you still may go out and change the oil in your car or mow the lawn and do all kinds of, but those are unreal. There's no next. There's just consciousness only. And you can realize it. If you're listening to me, if you want a credential from it, you're probably ready to hear this. Most people are not. We have, a couple dozen people listening to this. And I've been doing this studying for a long time, but talking about it for 15, 20 years. I'm not saying anything much different than I said 15 years ago. More? You don't.
Bowing. So the discomfort that arises with seeing that you always want something else, even no matter how subtle that is, isn't very motivating. So how do we stay with that, continuing to look without?
So as a monk, that's why you feel you have felt apparently in your life in some way it's necessary for you to really get in and get some glue to glue yourself to this path, because you hear the truth of the Buddha's teaching and you feel how hard this is, and society, culture, our family, and rights and wrongs, and our sister and brother, what they're saying about what you're doing and what they think, it's just so complicated. We need something to do. So you return to the vow, be with all things, the 16 precepts of the Soto lineage and the order of immediate light. You just return to those 16 refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. Do good, don't do harm, be with all things. And then the 10 prohibitory precepts, which are not rules that you obey. There's something you observe. You observe. You don't kill anything. You observe that there's something, you can't help but kill some things. It's an observing, it's an awareness practice, not an obedience practice. Quite often misunderstood by people. So you're on that, so you have that glue. So I would say return to the vow. I vow to be with all things. Sometimes we put our hands together. Bow. Further, you down.
Thank you. It's
Thank
helpful.
you. Jishin.
Bowing. What is confusing to me in what you are saying is that you are saying that don't do anything unless you have to. On the other hand, you You say, yes, you need to change the oil in the car. You have to buy the insurance for the house or the car. And you call this just this. So is living the life with all of those requirements is just this, and we are just observing that we cannot not to do it? Bowing.
Yes. Deb,
Deb Bowing, you spoke earlier about consciousness that shrinks into a tight ball that can show up as ethical and cultural norms. I hold tightly to the concept that this culture and societal structure will harm and create a life of suffering for my child. How do I work with my compulsion to hide out, protect, take action to protect my child? Deb Bowing.
so thank you for the question, Deb. You may have to do all of those. There's no right or wrong. What you do is not near as important. You've asked me, so I'm responding. The most important thing you can do is to be aware of what you're doing. And most people are functioning out of such automatic response and reaction and reaction and reaction. There's no awareness of what they're even doing. They're just constantly reacting and reacting out of fear, out of hope. Hope and fear are just two parts of the same thing. Hope for something better, fear of something worse. It's quite a complicated process. So the most important thing for you to do, since you're asking me, is just spend a lot of time by yourself with your mind, watching your mind come and go. So that way, when you do step away from your meditation cushion and go out into the world to try to work with your child and to protect them from this crazy world that we're in, because they are in more danger now than they were, say, a couple of years ago, is to just be really aware of that. And that way, there's no guarantee, but that way, anything you do there'll be a lot more awareness around the cause and effect situation. You won't know it, you won't get a credential. Oh, I'm so much more aware now. I think my decisions are better because I'm more. You won't have a feeling. Ego will not get any nutrition from that. So you may feel worse. That's why the spiritual path is so powerful. You may feel worse about it. You may feel like this is terrible. I'm not getting anywhere. I'm not solving anything. But what may be happening is you may be more clear about the danger. You may see that more clearly how impossible it's going to be to possibly protect anybody from anything. The chaos is, as I sometimes say, it's like a landslide. You may see the landslide, but most people don't see the landslide. They just see the event. They just see this is happening. He did this, they did that, lock him up. They did this, they did that, lock them up, put them in prison, or punish them, or kill them. They don't see the big picture, to use the conventional word. They don't see dependent origination, pratyekya samutpada. They don't see it. They don't see consciousness only. They don't see this incredibly large display of otherness, of the illusion. And my image for that is like a landslide. If you start to see it, you just start to see that the causes and conditions have been coming down at us for centuries. The event that's happening here last week or 2 weeks ago, where she said, he said, they said, where someone got in a situation where it was threatening to you or to your what is your child's name?
Deb Bowing, Jamie. Thank you.
So if they were something threatening to Jamie, then your reaction, you have to train your mind to see clearly so that you can see the dependent origination. It's not that it's going to take away your fear. You might be more fearful, but to try to see the causes and conditions, that no one's to blame for what's happening. No personhood here. It just looks like it. It's so powerful that whole groups of people will band together, cult. You can call it a nation, you can call it whatever you want. But anytime that the fundamental welfare for everybody is ignored, it's a cult. Anytime it's all about us and hell with you guys. I don't care what name, it's cultish. It's breaking down into, we're okay and we're good. We need to help our tribe or our homeboys or whatever, and the other people are on their own. No, it has to be for everybody. It has to be kindness, generosity, and clarity, and support for everyone. Even the people that are giving us a hard time, we have to help them somehow if they give us a little bit of permission.
Thank you so much. And one more. So do I
Yes.
just continue to sit with that hopelessness? And it's getting worse. The pain for me is getting worse. Just continue to sit and watch that. Deb Bowing.
So I'm not biased, as I said. I'm saying, yes, continue to practice, train your mind, include any situation that's includable. If there are other people in the same situation, they may or may not be meditators. Just because they're not meditators doesn't mean that they aren't just experiencing similar situations. So there may be other groups of people. Are you a member of any kind of a group, or do you tie up with other people that are supportive? So that,
Yeah, a number of,
so that would be good. And also, do not promote meditation to anyone. No, don't do that. You meditate. If other people ask you about that, they might ask you and they might say what that's like, and then let them come to you. But no promotion of that to anyone.
Thank you so very much. Deb Bowing.
Thank you, Deb. Yes, Naveed.
Navid Bowing. It seems that we are so addicted to the next event, and when there is nothing to do, we want to do something. And in that period in which there's nothing to do, although that period is very relaxing and stable for me, there's also a form of agitation in the background to want to do something for the next event. I was wondering how to work with the situation.
Thank you for the question, Naveed. So, how are things in Iran?
Good.
Good.
Not bad. Thank you.
Think about you a lot and wonder what it's like there for you and your countrymen. So, anyway, coming back to your question, I would say you're already doing it. When you're doing it, the negativity and the what should I do and shouldn't I be doing something, that's bound to arise. The downside of that is how it feels. The upside of that is that's the clamoring of the self-centered part of consciousness that wants results, wants to be valuable, wants to be doing something. There's nothing to live up to. There's just consciousness only. From the point of view of consciousness, nothing even happens. And if you continue in this way, insofar as there is a literal path of going to the next part of the path, using the word next, which there isn't, because it's instant. That's why the name of this particular order of combining or bringing together the Zen tradition, Tibetan tradition, is the order of immediate light, because it's immediate. When you see it, it's immediate. It's so immediate that it doesn't feel like anything happened. This will not be an occurrence. It doesn't participate, nor does it ignore relative truth. It doesn't participate in it as being a past and a future. Well, I used to be all confused, and now I'm so terribly enlightened. Not going to happen. I guarantee nothing. But I would just say continue to sit, continue to join us, stay in touch with me as much as it helps you. There's no requirement to do anything.
Navid Bowing.
Yes, sir.
You often say you don't need to change anything, or
Yes.
you don't need to give up an addiction.
Yes.
So I was wondering, in that situation that I described, I feel that I need to push it a little bit more. Like I need to stay in that, not to do anything, period. I think I need to push that a little bit to let go of my different kinds of addiction. I was wondering, what is your opinion on that?
Two things. I don't have opinions. That's the first thing. And the next thing is, my opinion is, just be aware of it. And the other thing I would point out is, because I don't talk to you very much, but when I do, you use a word that quite often people use. And I think it's a really good As soon as you use this word, I don't want you to stop using it, but you use a word that, and this is available to all of you if you're listening, is anytime you ask somebody a question and you say, I was wondering, be very clear about what that word entails. What does it mean? What is it that you're conveying to someone? Instead of just asking the question, why wouldn't you just say, and this is a why question, why wouldn't you say the question rather than saying, I was wondering? So look into that area. There's a very interesting area, the way the mind is functioning when it uses that. Not with everyone, but I think significantly, possibly with you, especially if with the way in which you're asking the question. And to come back to now we're up to the third part of the question, I think now. Yes, put a little pressure on it. The way it sounds to me, it sounds like, yes, you probably should put a little pressure. There's different ways to do that. When I talk to somebody who is dealing with addictions of many different kinds, sometimes I say, use a specific form. Say, okay, I'm not going to use this habit forming, whatever it is, for 3 days, and then stick to it. And then watch what happens in the mind. Don't look at it as a success story or as ever wanting to someday get totally rid of the addiction. Just work so you get very familiar with how that addiction, what that addiction covers up. So you get it's like just getting to know yourself really well. It's like you're being your own therapist, doctor, meditation teacher. You're just working with your consciousness yourself. So experiment with it a little bit like that. Don't try to just chop it off like it's a useless thing, because it's a very more important part of your consciousness, the way you've been protecting yourself, or the way I've been protecting myself since I was here. Just get familiar with the mechanics, shall we say, of that situation, rather than try to find out where the off switch is. It will turn it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It will turn itself off if you really see what it is. And this is not a promise, not a guarantee, but it will just stop, because it doesn't really work if you see that you're grasping. Anytime you see that you're grasping at something, when consciousness does that, it's necessary for consciousness to eventually just see that is just useless. And the way in which it sees that, it's that there's no person that has that feeling. The feeling is dependently arisen. I want that. It's not a person. That's consciousness showing up as a person in the illusion. I want that. We buy into that. We have that emotion. It's strong. We want it. Why can't I have it? I should be able to have that. All that little commentary. So that's why if you experiment with it a little bit, you get to know that this is just like a stage set. It's not real. And you actually slowly over time get to be you get to be the best boy, you get to be the director, you get to be the person who sweeps the stage after the place is shut down at night, closes the curtain, person who comes in and patches the hole in the curtain. You get to be the entire situation, because you are not separate from anything anywhere.
Thank you. I have one more, if that's okay.
Go ahead, it's certainly appropriate. Go ahead.
Do we actually miss anything when we are engaged with the next event? All the next events?
So the idea of missing something is laboring under the illusion that there are separate things. There are no separate things. They're just consciousness. It may show up as a carnival in Venice. It may show up as a what's that guy's name? Bad Bunny. Are you worried about missing Bad Bunny? I mean, Bad Bunnies, billions of people can like Bad Bunny. So you can't miss anything. You can't. And why? It's not that there aren't things, but there's no one here. So you can't miss it. So the feeling of missing it is going to be there, but that's part of the illusion. Just like the feeling that there's a ghost in the other room, and the feeling like in a scary movie that something is real and going to get you, or the fact that somebody's hammering on your back door and you don't know what it is. All those things have the illusion of being real. But fundamentally, to use that capital F word, can't miss anything. There are no separate things.
Navipang, I was thinking about it more like when you say don't miss your life.
Yes.
Like when you're always busy engaging with the next event, you might miss something maybe more real. I don't know.
I'm following you in what I'm saying. When I say don't miss your life, I'm saying that whatever walks through the door, the physical door that's across the room, and whatever shows up in your mind, and this is a very literal, blunt way of saying it, you've got it coming. That's supposed to come through that door. That's supposed to show up in your mind. No one is at fault or to blame. There are no separate beings. So if you're having an emotion, and even if it's really intense negative emotions, you have no reason, you don't have any idea, why am I feeling so negative? As soon as you say why, you've caved into the illusion of separation. As soon as you say that, even if you haven't said it out loud, why am I feeling this way? As soon as you do that, don't do that to yourself. Don't even say, I'm feeling this way. Just receive it. Just like smoke coming in the room. Just smell it. Just like sunshine coming through the window. Just receive it. Just like hail hitting you on the head when you go out, and don't expect big rocks of frozen water to hit you in the head. But you just receive it. Whatever happens, don't leave what you're receiving for what it means or why it's happening. More?
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. But
Yep,
is
bowing.
this from YouTube?
Yeah, there's 20 people and a lot of questions.
Not 20,
Nope, two couple people are asking questions.
two couple?
Two couple. Milka Bowing asks, in the UK, asks, is future the biggest delusion ever invented? Bowing.
Well, it's a close rival with the past. Nothing happens. There is no, if you notice that the future never gets here and the past never leaves. You can't, you always have those concepts. It's always this. It's always not, it's always now. And even that is unreal, because that's the primary illusion, other than there being a separate self or a separate other. In time, that's the spatial one, but in time, it's unreal. There's just this. Things are coming and going in time and changing, getting larger, getting smaller, trees growing and things like that, create an intense illusion of separation, that things are occurring, that we have to do this or do that. We have to be one of those things that's coming and going.
Milka Bowing also asks, is there no next moment? Why does my anxiety never get any less despite decades of meditation? Is that inefficient meditation? Bowing.
Sit more. Sit a lot. Even bad meditation. Which I don't know what that would be, but meditate. Sit still. Watch what moves. Sit still. Watch what moves. Meditation. You can do it. Do a lot of it. That's Ath.
Yes,
He's in the UK.
yes.
The only thing I can think of would be to a lot of sitting. If I were to interact Ath with you personally, I might have some other ideas about that. But just based on that simple question, I would say the most important thing, it sounds like, because of the way your question is showing up, is a lot of time. It's like you're spending a lot of time chopping vegetables, thinking, worrying, conceptualizing, blaming. You're doing a lot of that. I'd say get that blade away from the vegetables over to the stone and sharpen that blade. So that when you come back to the vegetables, or the thinking process, analysis process, daydreaming, whatever it may be, there's a lot more clarity around it. It's not going to clean it up, just like talking about a Deb situation. It's not going to solve everything, but you'll be more clear and less likely to act in situations that are not particularly going to be helpful to Jamie, but situations that you wouldn't even come to a conclusion. She might be able to see something so clearly that she could move in that direction and give Jamie more support because of her awareness is spread out, not as a credential, but just more understanding about the entirety of the craziness in this, in the aggression that's in the situation, unfairness that's happening with her. Same thing is happening in the mind stream. Sharpen that blade. Sit.
Milka Bowing, a question from JB in Pennsylvania.
JB,
JB.
right?
Considering that the past flexes with the storyteller recalling it, how can there be a future if that too will also be distorted in the further future? Howie?
Do a lot of sitting. It sounds like you're a very intelligent person, not a compliment, just an observation from the way you put those words together. Because of your intelligence and because of your insight into the way cause and effect works, it tells me that the way in which you are supporting a belief in yourself as a separate being who's able to think or do anything at all is very powerful. So all the more reasons, take some time, unplug that food processor mind that you have. Sit down, hold still. You don't have to be my student. You're listening to me. You don't ever have to listen to me again, especially if you spend a lot of time sitting still. Unplug that device that looks like it's making so much sense and gives you the feeling that you're so clear about things. I'm not saying you're not clear. It's just that what you're clear about is just, you're clear about the way, the structure, you're clear about it in such a way that you can ask that kind of a question. Like, well, what about this? Or what about that? Anytime you're saying, what about this? What about circular? You have to say, what is that? And I can tell you what it is, but you need to see it. It's unreal. If you don't see it, then you'll continue to function as if, not condemn you to anything, or to anyone, but if you continue to believe your thoughts and your emotions and your feelings and think that they're yours and you somehow are the person having these, then it's going to be really, really difficult, like it is for most of the world. Very, very few people are on a true spiritual path, at least as far as I can tell. More? Is there another one? I'll take one more from there and then we'll button it up, so to speak.
Kabali, another one from Ath. He says, last question. Kind of unrelated. Can thinking happen to a child prior to acquiring or hearing any language? Thank you kindly.
Thinking is happening to a child before they're born. Thinking is not I don't have any scientific proof. I'm not a scientist. I'm just a Buddhist monk, but I understand something from working with my own mind with the help of my teachers for many, many years. So thinking does not happen to a person. Thinking happens in consciousness, and it happens to be aligned with a human form or not, but it still can go on. It can go on after you pass away. You can still think a lot. Another person next to you can pass away and no thinking at all, just consciousness. You cannot find a differentiation in such a way that you can say, aha. You'll never say aha. If you're saying aha, more circles. I'm so proud of myself. I'll take one more on Zoom if there is one, and then especially if it's from someone who hasn't asked a question. And if there are no questions, I can leave. Okay, Jishin, looks like you're the last one.
Looking bowing. What is the relationship of nothing happens? Bowing.
So all that's really addressing when we say if nothing happens, I'm quoting His Holiness the 16th Karmapa, the head of the Kagyu lineage who passed away in 1981. And this is something he said when he was on his so-called deathbed. He said it to the Vajra-Regent Ursel Tenzin, who was the Dharma heir of Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche, my teacher. And even though he's gotten a lot of bad press, as they all have, I wouldn't particularly believe any of that stuff. But he said, nothing happens. And so what that is pointing to is that this is an illusion. It's not saying that this doesn't happen, moves through the air and doesn't make a noise when it hits. The illusion is extremely realistic. A movie is very realistic. A movie is a good example, or the dream you had last night. Is it real? Is it unreal? Shoto had a dream last night of someone he's never met that was passed away before he was born. My teacher, Chogyam Trungpa, had a very interesting dream about Chogyam Trungpa. Wasn't it? That's very interesting. I've had a few dreams about Chogyam Trungpa, but his was quite elaborate. It's almost like Chogyam Trungpa likes Shoto better than he likes me.
Didn't tell you that part.
You didn't tell me that part. He says, you know that teacher of yours? Don't listen to him, listen to me. I'll come to you in your dreams and tell you stuff. Anyway, it was a very, very interesting dream. If you're interested in that, you can ask Shoto about it. He's available. I have an announcement to make. Is that good, Jisheen? Is there something else about that?
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I wanted to say that, as some of you know, our community has kind of come apart a little bit because people have decided to go other directions for different reasons, and I won't go into that. But people do what they need to do, and I trust all of them will do what they need to do for themselves. But we do need some help. Our funding situation is kind of flat right now. We're trying to find out. We're even having, Airbnb. We've got empty apartments that used to be occupied by people coming here to practice. Those are now, more of them are empty, so we're renting those out to people to try to generate enough money to keep the monastery going. So our funding is not so good, so need your help in that way. Also need your help to join us in our practices. We have a lot of ongoing, quite often the people are in here chanting the sutras or doing other practices with no one showing up on Zoom and no one showing up here in the Zendo. Not wrong, it's just that we're going to do this whether you show up or not. So that just means about a half a dozen of us at this point. Used to be quite a bit more. So I'm going to ask the Shoto, who is the Sukansu, in other words, he's the prior of this monastery. And in other words, if I pass away tomorrow, which is possible, then he'll be the person who's running this whole situation. So, and not just because he had a dream of Trungpa Rinpoche, but that kind of helps. So would you like to read that?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Would you like me to come up?
Yeah, come up here and have a seat or whatever. I'll turn the computer this way so they can see you.
How are your knees feeling?
Huh? Huh? You can't sit on my knees, you might break them. No, go ahead.
Thank you. I think I know mostly everybody, if not everybody. Like Sokuzan was saying, our participation's down quite a bit for different reasons. We could use help either financially or even just getting stuff done, like lawns to mow. So if you're nearby, there's chores, plenty of them. So some of the things coming up that are on the schedule to join, the Sadhana Mahamudra, we chant that twice a month. That comes from Trungpa Rinpoche, Sokuzan's teacher. We do that every full moon and new moon. That's a great practice to join. That's always available online or in person. You can join like even just one study a week of a traditional Dharma book study. We have many more than that, but even just showing up once a week is really great for your practice. For us too, to have people online or in the Zendo is really supportive. And of course, like this, attending the Dharma talks that Sokuzan gives, and many of the students are also giving talks as well. There are more transmitted priests in the Sangha too, who have been given formal permission to teach, like Nishikai here in the Zendo with us, and Hogen, who's not here right now. So there's options for monthly donations or one-time donations, anything like that. The monthly ones obviously are really helpful because we can count on those and budget around those. Everything that's done here, well, I can't say everything because I get a little bit of money to help keep up the property here, not much, but pretty much everything beyond that is volunteer work, and it's stuff that's like professional stuff. Like Ondo is an accountant who's doing stuff that we would have to pay a lot of money for, and not to mention the things that other people do that aren't just unskilled tasks of things that like people went to college for and we're just doing for free to keep things going. So anything creative to help out is appreciated. Nothing's too little. So yeah, help if you can, and just showing up on the screen is a help as well. Not to say that that's not enough at all. Anything else?
No, that's good.
Thank you. Anything
Thank you.
else?
What's next?
I have to run to the other side and sing.
Huh?
Or,
You're gonna go sing?
yeah.
He's gonna go sing. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please remain.